Earth's cooks discovered themselves in a strange planet with animals they would never be able to own. Imagine that this was a cosmic prison that housed the most infamous criminals from all around the galaxy, not just another restaurant. Earth's representatives were ridiculed for their lack of significance in the universe. Simple methods and equipment, such as knives, pans, and spatulas, were the punchlines of extraterrestrial humor that are thought to be remnants of a less developed society that change is here for. After a series of disastrous culinary experiments, it was soon discovered that survival required more than simply cooking. The elite convicts of the galaxy now took great satisfaction in their culinary prowess, employing equipment and techniques that Earthlings were unable to comprehend. How far ahead their technology was in creating foods that appeared to defy knowledge. To them, Earth's cuisine and methods were archaic, absurd, and completely beneath one of their potentials for pastoral expressiveness, fit for an Old Testament desert island. Taking into account the foreign inmates' contempt, some of them demonstrated sophisticated taste in cooking and eating. Devices that could create the ideal molecular structures for food, while others altered flavors using mind-bending methods driven by their sophisticated biology. Earth's cooks, by contrast, employed their knowledge of fire, knives, and expertise garnered from years of practice. Their strategies were viewed as outdated, and their endeavors were mocked in spite of the shameless women. Practice failing, the cook was quiet and exceptionally talented, stood out. This chef concentrated on perfecting their art, since they felt that accuracy and skill were the best ways to deal with the constant taunts. The kitchen knife in their hand, despite being derided by others, demonstrated that resourcefulness could overcome complexity. Dependable partner, a tool that represented years of practice, flexibility, and thus the jail kitchen turned into a battlefield where new difficulties arose every day. Earth's chefs were compelled to cook meals that were so intricately crafted by alien prisoners that they adjust their knowledge to deal with foreign substances that contradicted their chemistry knowledge, and nevertheless, the atmosphere was antagonistic, and there was a strong attitude of superiority toward others. Prisoners, but the Earth cooks persevered, taking advantage of every chance to improve their strategies and show their tenacity. The reserved chef became the subject of hushed discussions. Among the Earthlings, unparalleled precision with the knife started to attract notice, even from people who had previously made fun of them. Saying that this chef did more than simply slice ingredients, they changed them. Discovering methods to bring out the flavors concealed deep within strange foreign fruit with every bite and every motion was methodical, calculated, and incredibly smooth. Gradually, their confidence started to develop. The taunts continued, but they began altering the aliens while they were still. Dismissive people couldn't ignore the skill displayed, thus some inmates started congregating during meals, preparations, and they observed with curiosity tinged jeers as the Earth chef performed seemingly hard tasks, using crude instruments like a knife. As time went on, this chef's simplicity became an art form in the eyes of the aliens. Passed into weeks, the dynamic started to change. The quiet chef's unyielding silence no longer hurt as much. Focus acted as a reminder that mastery was about how one used the instruments available to them, not about the tools themselves. While Earth chefs used technique and skill adaptation to overcome obstacles, alien cooks depended on technology. Earth's cooks believed they could manage this decision because it was more than simply a matter of pride. Not only were they expressing themselves, but they were also demonstrating the value of their planet to a galaxy that had rejected them. They served as representatives of their world, bearing the burden of their nation's image with each meal they cooked. What started out as a silent element was a message that Earth had worth against enormous odds. Perseverance became a declaration of defiance, and the Earth chef responded to the mockery without using words. Each cut and movement made by the knife demonstrated their commitment and proficiency to the other ship. Human and extraterrestrial chefs started to view the knife differently. It wasn't merely a representation of the alien inmates' tenacity, inventiveness, and resourcefulness. Despite their initial contempt, several began to pay attention while they continued to show off their advanced equipment. Cannot but recognize the Earth chef's increasing impact on this person was nothing but a Niles and perseverance, were subtly questioning all they believed to be true about superior priority in cooking. Wasn't only about producing food, it was also about using the Earth's most basic tools to create something spectacular. Chefs, this was the start of a change. What began as a difficult fight against discrimination and derision was turning into a quest for self-discovery. They discovered that their abilities, refined by years of practice even in the harshest and most merciless of settings, Earth had worth, and their silent commander within the center of the galaxy, their constant focus and trust, knife become a beacon of inspiration and hope. Among the most evolved creatures the universe had to offer, a chef stood tall and unpretentious in a prison. Devices or state-of-the-art equipment, but with a basic knife and the unwavering faith in their own ability. However, although it was a minor triumph, it set the stage for a much more significant change in how Earth movements were thought, that this was about more than just eating anymore. It was about demonstrating that simplicity, combined with talent and tenacity, to compete with even the galaxy's most sophisticated techniques. Earth's chefs had developed into an obvious target for mockery in the Galactic jail. But they had to contend with more than just constant taunting. The alien inmates transformed culinary proficiency into a hierarchical structure in which power was established by intricate culinary competitions. The earthly cooks were relegated to the bottom and dismissed as nevertheless. The competition displayed cutting-edge methods and technologies that were beyond Earth's comprehension. These competitions were more than just spectacles, further solidifying the idea that humans were out of their element. Conflicts between status alien chefs, equipped with instruments capable of manipulating matter at the molecular level, demonstrated seemingly miraculous abilities, producing gravity, dishes that defied expectations, such as meals that changed flavor in the middle, and components that responded to ideas rather than physical contact. Despite the idea that Earth's culinary customs were antiquated and primitive, the chefs from Earth, they were viewed as remnants of a past time with their knives and fire-based techniques. Earth cooks were conflicted and unable to agree on how to react, and some claimed that entering the competitions would simply lead to greater mockery, while others thought it was the alien inmates' opportunity to regain some respect fueled this internal conflict. Dispute, publicly making fun of their hesitancy, they issued challenges daring the Earth chefs should come forth with the full expectation that they will fail eventually. The job was surprisingly easy. Make a dish using one of the challenges that would change everything. Most hazardous and erratic components in the galaxy. This component is well known for its volatility, was a test of the alien chef's ability and courage. As they went up to the task with assurance, equipped with their sophisticated equipment and in-depth understanding of gourmet cuisine, they created, and was evident that Earth's cooks had no chance. They paused the huss. Their limited instruments seemed absurdly inadequate for the task, and the qualities of the substances were entirely foreign to them. Among them, a chef discreetly offered to accept the task. This chef had previously started to gain their peers' esteem via modest talent and perseverance, viewed the competition as an opportunity. Therefore, it wasn't only about demonstrating their own value. It was also about demonstrating that Earth's ways were acceptable in the galaxy's most sophisticated kitchens. As the competition got underway, the alien cooks collaborated with precision, monitoring molecular structures and controlling all variables with their technology, utilizing instruments that appeared to perform the work for them and converting temperatures to decimal points. the Earth chef in stark constraints. In contrast, they attacked the task met with their trusted knife in hand, relying on instinct and expertise. The difference in strategy was carefully dividing the scary element into digestible parts. Stark and the extraterrestrial onlookers didn't try to hide their amusement. Considered the Earth chef's attempts to compete in a game that was well above their comprehension to be archaic and futile. However, while the chef worked, Drew's motions captured their attention. Each cut and modification revealed a profound comprehension of their vessel that the extraterrestrials had written off as simplicity started to show itself as. The dish started to take shape as the extraterrestrial cooks relied on their mastery of the basics. The Earth chef utilized the knife to create intricate blends of flavors and textures while concentrating on harmony and balance, with such accuracy that even the most doubtful onlookers were captivated by the knife, which was originally a representation of Earth's perceived inferiority, served as a transformative tool, transforming an impossibly difficult situation into a chance. When it came time to serve the food, the extraterrestrial chefs showcased creations that were unquestionably healthful. Amazingly, their food glistened with hues not found on Earth, released scents that were impossible to describe, and displayed the entire scope of their technological capabilities. Yet, there was a change when the Earth chef served their meal. Despite its straightforward appearance, the judges' blend exuded confidence and purpose. Of foreign detainees and guards approached the food with interest, sampling each dish and marveling at the. When they arrived at the Earth chef's dish, there was a halt due to the intricacy and inventiveness of the extraterrestrial creations. The dish's simplicity stood in stark contrast to its effect, as each bite unveiled layers of taste and a depth of realizing that the dish's look was dependent on more than just technology or eyewear. The aliens lacked skill balance and the capacity to change the course of events. As anticipated, the Earth chef's dishes were amazed by the alien chef's inventiveness. Meals struck a deeper chord, proving that mastery of the fundamentals could produce outcomes that were impossible for even the most sophisticated technology to duplicate. And the response from the spectators was ambivalent. Some thought it was an anomaly, but others started to reevaluate how they saw Earth's food customs. This competition was a watershed for the foreign detainees who were still understanding of the food customs. Skeptics were unable to dispute the Earth chef's ability that had previously been demonstrated. Seen as a group joke, started to gain some respect for the reserved chef who had accepted the challenge and turned into a representation of tenacity and resolve, exemplifying the notion that resourcefulness and mastery could close even the most significant skill gaps for Earth chefs. Was a minor but noteworthy triumph. It went beyond simply winning a competition, aimed to restore their honor and demonstrate the worth of Earth's culinary legacy, notwithstanding. Despite the insurmountable odds, the competition was a step toward improving their situation rather than the conclusion of their difficulties. Believed they had demonstrated that, with talent and perseverance, even the most basic tools could accomplish greatness. The interstellar prison's chaotic explosion marked the turning point. Once a scene of mockery and rivalry, the kitchen turned into a battlefield where inmates were at odds. The Earth cooks discovered themselves in the midst of a dispute that had been simmering, and the explosion was possible. Little to do with cooking, and all to do with surviving as alien inmates, equipped with instruments that may be used for a lesser race of human beings, allowed the animals to dig their fingernails into the pig pens, and the workmen allowed to work the packages became the Earth chef's first targets in the midst of the pandemonium. Having started gaining esteem by talent, was immediately presented with the choice of remaining helpless or changing to survive. Their lifeline was the kitchen knife, an item derided for its simplicity but had formerly represented Earth's culinary culture. Backwardness was turned into a weapon of accuracy, and the chef used it with measured precision rather than violence. actions that transformed a basic tool into something much more. The other inmates originally disregarded the chef's skills were astounding. The same ability that had gained him recognition in the kitchen now made him a powerful figure. In a battle, every move was calculated and every action was successful. The chef's knife evolved into an extension of their hand, displaying a degree of control and flexibility that no amount of... It wasn't only about protecting themselves, it was also about demonstrating that highly developed technology could be replicated. Even in the most adverse circumstances, simplicity and mastery could prevail, and things started to change for the better. Inspired by the Earth Chef's poise and accuracy, chefs and inmates began to gather around them, which would have been an anarchic free-for-all turned into a concerted attempt to bring order back to the unspoken. While the machinations of the chef's leadership was demonstrated by their deeds, which spoke louder than words, even in an environment intended to crush spirits. Resiliency and inventiveness were effective skills, and using the knife wasn't just practically speaking, it symbolized the strength of adaptability in the hands of Earth Chef. And inventiveness. It wasn't about possessing the most sophisticated equipment. Rather, it was about not knowing how to use what was. The other inmates learned this lesson and started to view the Earth Chef's possessions in a different way. Previously disregarded as archaic, it suddenly seemed effective and, more significantly, efficient. Eventually, the prison's tumult faded, but the dynamics had changed. The Earth Chefs, which were previously thought to be feeble and inconsequential, were now treated with caution and respect. For the alien inmates, who had before derided knives as remnants of a less developed world, suddenly recognized their potential. Who had taken the lead came out not only as a survivor, but also as a leader who had demonstrated the ability and even the worst situations may be conquered with perseverance. But the transformation didn't happen overnight. After decades of controversy and rumors of a plot to kill Artcliffe, the people of Peterburg could no longer accept the changes of the state, and the people of Peterburg were spared entirely. The Earth Chef's actions served as a spur for reform in the institution, where previously there was a spirit of solidarity and respect for one another, where there had previously been division and derision. Other inmates were moved by what they had seen and started to reconsider their preconceptions of the chefs on Earth. Not merely a collection of people, but a team that can adjust and perform well even under the most trying circumstances. This newly discovered beyond the prison walls, the tale of the Earth Chef who transformed it wasn't just a story of survival. It was a tale of a basic knife transformed into a symbol of tenacity that spread throughout the galaxy. Evidence of the ability and inventiveness of the Earth Chef who had arrived. The knife, formerly a weapon of mockery, was now used as a symbol of their planet's inventiveness in the prison. Disdain became a representation of what the planet had to give. It embraced the ideals of resourcefulness, willpower, and flexibility in the hands of the accomplished. It wasn't about the instrument. Earth Chef had changed from a commonplace item to something remarkable itself, but the way it was applied taught a lesson that spoke to everyone who saw it for the Earth. The encounter was life-changing for the chefs, who had arrived in the prison as a fragmented group, uncertain of their position in a galaxy that appeared to be beyond their comprehension. But they had discovered their strength through hardship and demonstrated their value. The chef who held the knife turned into a beacon of hope and a reminder that even the Earth Chef had changed from a commonplace item to something remarkable itself. But the way it was applied taught a lesson that spoke to everyone who saw it for the Earth. The encounter was life-changing for the chefs, who had arrived in the prison as a fragmented group, uncertain of their position in a galaxy that appeared to be beyond their comprehension. But they had discovered their strength through hardship and demonstrated their value. The chef who held the knife turned into a beacon of hope and a reminder that even the When combined with talent and perseverance, even the most basic instruments could produce amazing results in the kitchen. Seared marked a sea change for all inmates, not only the Earth chefs, as the obstacles of discrimination and superiority started to fade, and was replaced by respect for one another and comprehension of the Earth chef's behavior, had demonstrated that mastering the fundamentals could compete with the most cutting-edge technologies. A lesson that expanded beyond the kitchen to include every facet of jail life after the Earth chefs were no longer. They were no longer perceived as merely inmates, but rather as innovators, problem solvers, and once their sharpest enemies turned into supporters, the leaders of the foreign inmates collaborating with them to produce something bigger than any one person could. Earth cooks have undergone a complete metamorphosis. Moving from being derided to being a representation of the struggle had reinvented the concepts of resilience, ingenuity, and the power of simplicity. The cosmic prison's dynamics, which had previously been one of animosity and division, started to change. The Earth chef's efforts to foster cooperation in the kitchen and amid the chaos had caused a shift in viewpoint, with the Earth chefs no longer being seen as inferior, became essential to closing the divide between the many inmates of the jail. The cosmic prison's dynamics, which had previously been one of animosity and division, started to change. The Earth chef's efforts to foster cooperation in the kitchen and amid the chaos had caused a shift in viewpoint, with the Earth chefs no longer being seen as inferior, became essential to closing the divide between the many inmates of the jail. With food acting as the bridge that connected inmates from innumerable planets, each with unique foods and culinary customs that were once a source of unanimous sympathy, now ridicule turned into a chance, and the Earth HSS, under the leadership of the person who shone their abilities, suggested a bold concept for a galactic feast that would combine methods, materials, and tastes from all the cultures that were represented. It was more than just a meal. It was a declaration of solidarity and respect for one another. The concept struck a chord with despite their differences, prisoners all recognized what food was, a universal language that can transcend cultural and species boundaries. The Earth Changers, once on the marginals, took the lead now, and they started collaborating closely with chefs from other countries, sharing information, knowing how to modify earthly methods to incorporate elements from other planets, and comprehending the sophisticated techniques of their peers. But the procedure wasn't without difficulties, because every culture had different Earth cooks. Taboos had to deal with food restrictions, taboos, and personal preferences. Difficulties in providing care, making sure that each effort was valued and reflected the confidence they had established. Through their tenacity and expertise, they have finally demonstrated the value of what could have been an unsimplified. The seemingly unachievable endeavor turned into a team effort, with each member contributing their best effort to the Earth chefs. Once derided for its simplicity, the knife's versatility and use as a central tool in preparation, precision represented the harmony between innovation and tradition that characterized the meal, prepared by alien chefs who had previously rejected it as archaic, but now eagerly observed as the Earth chef displayed its traditions. Potentially, some even started combining their advanced tools with comparable methods in their own activities. As the preparations advanced, the Earth cooks had started to shift. A spirit of friendship replaced the competitive strain that had previously characterized the kitchen. Humans and aliens alike discovered a common interest in eating, and they started to value the compromises and strengths of each culture. The Earth chefs were able to obtain a greater understanding of the expansion of their own horizons through knowledge of the galaxy's culinary diversity. The feast day finally arrived, and the end products were nothing short of remarkable delicacies that fused alien methods with Earth's elements, were placed next to creations that displayed the most cutting-edge culinary. Each dish of technology conveyed a tale of cooperation and respect for one another. The flavors were unmatched by anyone's previous experiences, demonstrating what might be accomplished when disparities were abolished. The feast, which was organized to achieve a shared objective, was more than just a meal. It was a turning point for all those involved, including the foreign inmates, who had regarded Earth's shifters as equals after previously considering them inferior. The Earth FS, who previously had difficulty establishing themselves, had demonstrated not only their competence, but also their capacity to guide and motivate the feast, became a representation of what unity could accomplish, even in the most improbable of circumstances. Yet, the feast's influence went beyond the prison walls, as the tale of the cooperative efforts made all around the galaxy to dispel myths and alter the way that Earth was formerly thought of as a The Earth chef's culinary backwater was suddenly acknowledged as a wellspring of innovation and originality, representatives of their planet's potential, demonstrating that despite tremendous odds, ingenuity and the Earth chef, who had led the endeavor, became a renowned leader who showed that perseverance could make a difference. The knife was previously a symbol of not only their peers, but the entire prison. The supposed weakness of Earth now symbolized something much more powerful: the capacity to adapt, create, and bring people together. Was more than simply a tool. It served as a reminder of the principles that enabled the feast and the path that led it. Success at this time signaled the start of a new era for the Earth cooks, who not only demonstrated their value, but had changed their position inside the institution, so they were no longer viewed as outsiders. Instead, they were now considered central. Participants in the ongoing cultural interaction that strengthened the bonds forged during the feast lay the foundation for further cooperation with food, acting as a link between worlds and the Earth's evolution. Chefs had gone from being made fun of to rising to positions of authority and innovators whose journey demonstrated the strength of tenacity and flexibility by using what was effectively packed in styrofoam. The feast was the result of taking their rudimentary tools and techniques, which had previously been a source of shame, and turning them into a strength. That journey was a celebration of what was possible when people accepted and didn't fear differences. In the following decades, prison appeared to be split, with the cooperation spurred by the Earth upheavals had brought about a spirit of solidarity that went beyond the kitchen, and the feast was repeated as a custom, with fresh ideas and contributions every time the Earth cook stopped. Underappreciated kept setting the standard by demonstrating that even the tiniest and most basic instruments could produce something remarkable when used with purpose and expertise. But their journey wasn't finished yet. New opportunities arise both inside and outside of the prison as a result of the knowledge they have gained and the esteem they have gained. Greatness, as demonstrated by Earth chefs, wasn't about possessing the newest equipment or technology, but rather about the influence of their intelligence, their voice, their readiness, tenacity, and readiness to change and grow, transformed mockery into admiration, conflict into solidarity, and a basic knife into a representation of what they stood for. More than just a personal triumph, Earth's transition into esteemed personalities in the Galactic jail was a tale of perseverance, creativity, and redefining possibilities that started as a hostile and derisive atmosphere had transformed into a stage on which their abilities and resolve were sculpted. Views both within the prison and throughout the galaxy, as well as the lessons learned. The chef's success from this voyage showed that mastery of the fundamentals went far beyond the kitchen. Paired with flexibility might compete with even the most cutting-edge technology. Their experience turned into a template for how underdogs could overcome stereotypes and prosper in strange, harsh environments. Because of their circumstances, they were able to turn their constraints into strengths, demonstrating that ingenuity, not tools, was the key, and discipline behind them that were most important. The knife transformed from a mocking item into a potent symbol, symbolized the Earth chef's ingenuity as well as their capacity for innovation and adaptation under duress. When this straightforward instrument was used skillfully, what others perceived as a constraint became an opportunity. In addition to helping them live, their sense of purpose had gained them respect and changed the dynamics of their functions. Yet, the effects of their deeds were felt much beyond the walls of the prison. As news of their metamorphosis circulated throughout the galaxy, long-held assumptions about Earth's, and for generations, Earth was thought to be a primitive planet with little to offer the larger galactic community. That story was turned on its head by Community: The Chef's Journey, which demonstrated the inventiveness and potential of people. Inventiveness, they became into improbable representatives, exemplifying the notion that greatness might come from even the most underappreciated sources, and their ascent to fame also acted as a reminder. Given the importance of cooperation and solidarity, the Galactic Feast has emerged as a pivotal event in the history of prisons, showing how innovation might result from diversity by utilizing the talents of society. By combining many cultures and techniques, they were able to create something quite remarkable. The spirit of working together created a lasting legacy that encouraged others to remove obstacles and discover common ground via shared objectives for the Earth chefs. The encounter changed me personally. Additionally, they had arrived in the prison as a disjointed group, uncertain of their position in the galaxy that disregarded their tactics and resources through tenacity and a reluctance to let other people's ideas define you. They had developed close relationships with others in addition to discovering their own strengths. Respect and incorporate other people's innovations while maintaining their own traditions within the institution. Their actions caused the once divided ecosystem to transform, becoming more cohesive, with the chef's ability to bring people together via cuisine acting as a unifying force. Together via their craft had a cascading effect that encouraged collaboration and comprehension between even the most dispersed groups. The trip demonstrated that the most basic actions, preparation and sharing, relationships, views, and the respect they received might all be significantly impacted by food. Came with additional duties when the Earth chefs discovered leaders and inventors. They put themselves in a position to influence the culture of the jail going forward by serving as mentors to those instructing the abilities and principles that had enabled them to prosper by emphasizing flexibility. For others who looked up to them, cooperation and mastery of the essentials became guiding principles. Knife was no longer merely a sign of their journey, it was now an artifact of inspiration. Culinary tool, it symbolized the strength of fortitude and inventiveness of former foreign inmates who ridiculed Gascons as last chance of French independence, who started to see it as a reminder of what was possible with determination and resolve. It turned into a permanent symbol of the change that had occurred, and a tribute to the principles that had moved the Earth chefs from the periphery to the forefront of reverence and respect. As their tale spread, the Storm chefs' influence, their method of problem-solving and innovation became a topic of research and debate in larger galactic circles, emerged from an initial attempt to survive in an alien environment. The chef's accomplishment didn't turn into a movement that encouraged others to put aside their prejudices and welcome the unexpected. It was about demonstrating that ingenuity and perseverance could overcome even the most formidable obstacles, not only about food. The experience they carried the lessons of did not modify the problems or the shifts themselves. Their journey with them, realizing the significance of perseverance and collaboration, they realized that their capacity to motivate and bring others together was just as important to their success as their particular talents. All around them, the change had been a team effort made possible by their readiness to develop and learn in the face of hardship. The Earth chef's story was ultimately about more than cuisine. It was about reimagining what was possible and demonstrating that greatness, not about fighting ridicule or establishing their value, may appear in the most unexpected places. The trip served as a reminder that talent, imagination, and willpower could transcend even the most ingrained biases and produce something remarkable. Their legacy was more than just the admiration they received, but the transformation they brought about in the interstellar jail, once as a site of animosity and division, was transformed into one where cooperation and innovation were encouraged. Flourished the Earth cooks had demonstrated that cooperation and ingenuity could result in astounding results. They had transformed mockery into admiration, seclusion into cooperation, and a basic knife into a potent representation of what it meant to endure and achieve. Their tale served as a source of pride and a reminder of Earth's capacity to support the changes that were previously written off as unimportant in the galactic community, had become champions of their beliefs and culture, demonstrating that regardless of how powerful or sophisticated the opponent, creativity, flexibility, and the mastery of basic abilities were always welcome. The trip was accomplished. The human spirit's triumph demonstrates that even the most underappreciated instruments and customs may accomplish greatness when used with intention.